It is time to go around the NFL with my top 5 thoughts here on the Tyler Werner Show for what went down Week 8, of course, with the Philadelphia Eagles on a bye week. Top 5 thoughts around the NFL. A lot of interesting situations. You had a few teams that were on bye weeks that were undefeated last week coming and playing, and here we go. Started with number 5. The Oakland Raiders, ladies and gentlemen, have essentially announced that they're perhaps a contender in the AFC this season after beating the New York Jets and moved to 4-3. The New York Jets, of course, coming off of a division loss against the New England Patriots. Perhaps you would have thought maybe would have been a little more determined to win this week. But the Oakland Raiders had something else to say about that, handling the Jets pretty easily, 34-20. Of course, Ryan Fitzpatrick going down in that game, and then Geno Smith coming out kind of fresh off the bench and not doing too much. Derek Carr, decent day, 23 for 36, 333 yards, 4 touchdowns. Pretty good stuff out of Derek Carr as the Oakland Raiders move to 4-3. It's got to be the first time in years that they are 4-3 / above 500 about mid-season. Number 4, you want to talk about maybe mid-season form. Just as Drew Brees, and maybe even Eli Manning in this shootout of a game, third highest score overall in NFL history between the New Orleans Saints and the New York Giants this week. Drew Brees has an absolute field day. Back and forth shootout game here. Drew Brees, 39 for 50, 505 yards, 7 touchdown passes. Of course, the last person to throw 7 touchdown passes was none other than 2013 Philadelphia Eagles' own Nick Foles.
How's everyone doing? Let's make some noise, come on!
That was, of course, against the Oakland Raiders, but nevertheless, big win for the New Orleans Saints, who are suddenly find themselves at a 500 record after an awful start to the season. Eli Manning had 6 touchdown passes in this game as well, but at the end of the day, it was the New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees leading the way down the field at the end for the game-winning field goal as time expires, 52-49. But who needs defense in this game, I guess? An absolute shootout of a game. And fortunately for the Philadelphia Eagles here, the Saints hand the New York Giants a loss here in the shootout. Giants are now 4-4. Number 3. The Cincinnati Bengals, ladies and gentlemen, are still undefeated. 7-0. One of 4 teams that are 7-0, mind you. First time in NFL history there's been 4 7-0 teams. And if you were to tell me if the Bengals won, I might be a little surprised by that. I thought, again, I thought they would lose to the Bills, and they didn't. This week against the Steelers, Big Ben making his return. Thought, at Pittsburgh, a chance for maybe the Steelers to win an important division game and hand the Bengals their first loss. And they didn't. With a strong fourth quarter, the Cincinnati Bengals, they're legitimate contenders right now. And I guess we could say what we want, of course, about the Cincinnati Bengals and what they do in the playoffs, but they're 7-0. It's hard to doubt, Andy Dalton right now, what he's been able to, again, leading a key fourth quarter drive. 16-10 defensive battle here. Steelers fall to 4-4, and suddenly the Cincinnati Bengals have a commanding lead on this division. 4-0 on the road, obviously. 3-0 at home, but they're 4-0 on the road this season, 7-0 overall. A.J. Green with a field day, 11 receptions for 118 yards and a touchdown. You want to talk about another AFC team staying undefeated. It's the New England Patriots doing it, staying undefeated with ease, let's say.
To me, those balls are perfect.
Against division rivals Miami Dolphins. Of course, the Dolphins, it appeared they were riding high. Suddenly they put a couple wins together. And what did the New England Patriots have to say about that? 36-7 victory over the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins fall to 3-4. Patriots 4-0 at home. Essentially, they've beaten everybody in the division in their first go around with each division rival. And 7-0 right now, well ahead of the Jets at this point, including the Miami Dolphins and the Bills right now. Tom Brady, field day, 26 for 38, 356 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Sounds like those balls are perfect.
To me, those balls are perfect.
And, just another walk in the park for the New England Patriots against another division rival. And they are 7-0 right now. Gronkowski, 6 touchdowns, 6 receptions, 113 yards, and 1 touchdown. Not 6 touchdowns. All right. That's pretty much that, number 2. And what else more to say? The Patriots just going out dominating. But number 1... my number 1 thought around the NFL this week, if you think about, the most impressive victory, it's got to be the Denver Broncos. Both teams, Broncos, Packers, going at it this week. Undefeated teams coming off the bye. They had 2 weeks to prepare for one another. This was at Mile High Stadium. And the Broncos just shut down the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers, he's been looking sharp all season long, as you would expect him to. But this Broncos defense, they make plays. They got a safety late in the game, in the fourth quarter. And it was just a long day for Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. No, it wasn't at Lambeau Field, but still, I would have thought, maybe the Packers would be able to put up more than 10 points. But the Broncos win this one convincingly, 29-10. C.J. Anderson with a big day. Peyton Manning, Mr. I guess chicken parm, you taste so good if you want to.
Chicken parm, you taste so good.
Not necessarily, no touchdown passes. But nevertheless, 21 for 29, 340 yards, and an interception. This game, again, it's the Broncos, hard-nosed defense that makes plays in their running game. Again, C.J. Anderson, 14 carries for 101 yards and a touchdown. Of course, Ronnie Hillman, couple touchdown runs as well. Demaryius Thomas for the Broncos, 8 receptions, under 68 yards. The Broncos had their way here with the Green Bay Packers. And, I had I gotta be honest, I had a feeling the Packers were maybe going to go down there and maybe hand the Broncos their first loss. Again, with Peyton Manning this year, his play has been questionable. And, in some regards, I guess it continues to be questionable. But nevertheless, their formula this year, I didn't expect them to be 7-0, including a win against the Green Bay Packers in getting in that 7-0. But the Broncos, again, another one of those 4 7-0 teams right now in the NFL. It's hard to believe there's that many undefeated teams in the NFL. I guess, with that in mind, an honorable mention to the Carolina Panthers last night, who beat the Indianapolis Colts in overtime. A game that looked like maybe the Colts were going to win there, but the Colts, late in that game, I think, to begin with, that for like 3 quarters of that game, it was like a snooze fest of a game. And in the fourth quarter, it actually got a little more interesting, maybe once the the rain was settling down and whatnot, and then of course it went to overtime. But it's just Panthers continue to remain undefeated. And I guess to some extent it helps that they're going to have their third straight home game this coming week in Week 9 against the Green Bay Packers. And ladies and gentlemen, that is a huge game right there. And I got to think that the Packers, even though this is another game on the road at Carolina, I got to think that the Packers, they got to avenge their loss to the Broncos. They got to bounce back. And maybe they'll perhaps hand Carolina their first loss of the season. But, I guess the scope of that, that game right there could very well decide home field advantage in the NFC. If the Panthers win that game, just to put it all in the perspective, they moved 8-0. Green Bay is 6-2. Everybody else in the NFC has at least will have at least 2 losses at that point. That's big. Whereas then you look over in the AFC and you still got 3 7-0 teams right now, and it's a little hard to separate one another. And of course, I guess provided the Indianapolis Colts, I guess don't go any worse than 6-10 and win that weak division in the AFC South. They're a lock for the 4th seed, I guess. Unless somehow they give it up to the Texans or something like that, but in that pathetic division. But I would highly doubt that would happen. It's just an interesting season in that regard with these 4 undefeated teams right now. So, nevertheless, we continue through the NFL season. A good week of football, despite no Eagles game, obviously. And with another interesting week of football, and of course the trade deadline being today in the NFL, certainly makes for an interesting week for what we call here on the Tyler Werner Show, This Week in NFL Memes. And it is Week 8. Well, we're coming off of Week 8 in the NFL as we're, in mid-season now, and we're kind of, we're moving into Week 9. As it is Tuesday here on the Tyler Werner Show. So we'll get it started with This Week in NFL Memes. And right off the bat, it begins with one regarding a big trade in the NFL. Of course, Vernon Davis got traded from the San Francisco 49ers to the Denver Broncos. Probably, a good, people were saying another toy for Peyton Manning.
Chicken parm, you taste so good.
And maybe not that kind of toy, or chicken parm, whatever, but another perhaps weapon for Peyton Manning, maybe to help Peyton Manning. I don't know. In his season that he's having some trouble in, and nevertheless still being undefeated. So this meme, the first one to kick things off for This Week in NFL Memes. Of course, it's a picture of Vernon Davis, who just got traded to the Denver Broncos. It looks like he's like laying on the ground, like they're doing like team warm-ups, and he's got his shoulder pads on, but no uniform on. And it looks like Vernon Davis was like purposely he was really posing for a picture here. And, wide of a smile as can be. You can see his teeth and everything. And the meme reads, that moment when you go from 2-6 to 7-0 with one phone call. And essentially that's what, Vernon Davis goes to. If you're Vernon Davis, you got to be pretty happy. Now you're playing for a contender. So, good stuff. I guess for, Vernon Davis, a couple later draft picks and whatever. I don't know. Now, piggybacking off of Peyton Manning, here we got a 2-picture meme here. One with the Manning brothers. On the top picture here is Peyton Manning taking a snap or whatever behind, under center for the Broncos and playing the Packers. And the bottom picture has Eli Manning throwing against the New Orleans Saints this past Sunday. So the top in the Peyton Manning area reads, throw 0 touchdown passes, I was just talking about earlier, wins. And then Eli Manning throws 6 touchdown passes, loses. So there you go. Again, another interesting week in the NFL. Again, with the Saints and the Giants, 13 total touchdowns. All pass touchdowns. Again, you throw 6 touchdown passes and you lose. But then again, those defenses just pathetic. And then you go to the Denver Broncos, and they hold Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers to 10 points, and essentially they're, I guess I got to think they're the best defense in football this year. When you put it all together, Seattle, obviously in recent years they've been great, but making the way Denver they make so many plays too, and they shut teams down. That's what they do. That's what they do. So, yeah, that's that. And again, another one with Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers. As we continue to talk, Manning brothers and Vernon Davis getting traded to the Broncos. Somebody on Sunday night before this game decided to make a meme of Peyton Manning on the left-hand side, a picture of him, and Aaron Rodgers on the right-hand side, both, about to release the ball downfield or whatever. The real matchup tonight, Nationwide versus State Farm. Of course, with obviously Aaron Rodgers in the State Farm commercials that he's always involved in. And then, of course, Chicken Parm and the Nationwide is on your side, and that's where this classic Peyton Manning soundbite
Chicken Parm, you taste so good
comes from. And the new Nationwide commercial that they've been playing lately with Peyton Manning sitting on his it has that lady on that cooking channel or whatever, and saying Chicken Parm, piggybacking off of that, and Peyton Manning saying I like it, it's laying in bed, and good stuff. Now, Dez Bryant made his return to the football field for the Cowboys, and they still got Matt Castle out there, who just against the Seattle Seahawks did not look very good at all. And of course, we'll see how he looks against the Eagles defense, who, it's, I wouldn't say it's quite what Seattle's is, but, certainly they can get pressure on, if they can get pressure on Castle. It could be a long day for Matt Castle, but Dez Bryant has some graphic, number 88, and at the bottom it has statistical graphics here. Of I guess a pair of gloves and a catching motion or whatever here for Dez Bryant's return. 2 catches, 12 yards, and then a picture of a referee, drawing over a referee or whatever. 0 touchdowns, and a foam finger in the one for 1 loss. So yeah, Dez Bryant, that was his return against the, essentially his stats with Matt Castle at quarterback against the Seattle Seahawks, of course, versus Richard Sherman,
Mediocre.
who might have had something to say like that against Des Bryant after the game, but I don't know. But perhaps, he made more noise after the game when, well, in the post-game press conference when he was questioned about, what he said when Lockett went down for the Seahawks heading into the second half with that brutal, I guess, blindside block or whatever. It was ruled illegal, I guess, by the referees. And it's one of those things, too, like, it's kind of like a shame for it. It was a concussion at the end of the day, but he was lying motionless for a while, and it looked serious. And, of course, Des Bryant, I don't know if it was like as this happened or if it was after he was laying on the, after Lockett was laying on the ground motionless for, a little bit of time, even if that'd be like 10 seconds. But apparently Des Bryant said that's what the bleep he gets. And, obviously that was not taken kindly to. And Seahawks would go on to win that game 13-12 in a defensive battle. And of course, that's who the Eagles face, coming up this Sunday night. I got to think the Eagles, Matt Castle, seriously, what is he doing in the league right now? With the Dallas Cowboys, he couldn't do anything against the Cowboys. And like 2 of those field goals that the Cowboys even got, it was mainly because they got great field position already within field goal range or even within the red zone, and weren't able to come away with any touchdowns out of that. So I don't know, but so perhaps Des Bryant, Matt Castle's throwing to him. It's great that Des Bryant's on the field, but Matt Castle, I don't know. There's no way. What I'm trying to say is there's no way they can lose this game to the Cowboys. That's the bottom line. Let's see, moving forward here. Here's something about London games. With the NFL graphic here that says NFL International Series 2015. It has, has the Jets and Dolphins, the date for the London game, 4th of October. And then it had the Bills and the Jaguars, 25th of October. And it had the Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs, who played in London November 1st. It kind of has these games listed here. And then it says, the meme reads, "Hey, NFL, if you actually want London to start following football, you should stop sending the crappiest teams there." So, yeah, I guess that's kind of true. But then again, I guess part of the point, I guess that's part of the point of the whole, they give the bad teams, I guess, since home field advantage for them probably isn't really a big deal. I guess that's kind of what happens, I guess. It's kind of the way it works, but I don't know. Maybe who knows? You'd have to ask the people in London, I guess. Maybe they're just happy to get whatever games they get. And the Jets, the one with the Jets and the Dolphins, that might not have been bad. At least the Jets were playing pretty well at that point, but I don't know. Now let's see, moving forward here. Some are just kind of mediocre, as I guess Richard Sherman would say. So
Mediocre.
Kind of skip through them here. kind of analyze them as we go. Well, okay, here's one. Of course, Halloween was this past weekend, of course. I don't know, those who celebrated Halloween. Now, I guess, this is a picture. It's kind of a wide shot of many empty seats at San Francisco. Probably when the game was basically over, I would think. Pretty much, and the fans are just leaving, not much more really to see out of this game. A lot of empty seats. And apparently this meme reads, Halloween at the 49ers game. Looks like everyone dressed up as seats. So there you go. And again, I gotta think that at least Vernon Davis, if you want to win something this year, since, that whole regime, obviously he was a key cog in the Jim Harbaugh regime in recent years when the 49ers were contending in the NFC, but it's probably, again, Davis is probably glad he's moving on to a team where, there's not really reason for empty seats to be there, or whatever it be, or at least the Broncos, even if they lose, that defense, again, it seems like they always keep them hanging around the game and getting things done. And that's the bottom, it's the bottom line. And, I guess, speaking of more Halloween costume ideas, I guess, here's somebody dressed in a New England Patriots Tom Brady number 12 jersey. Well, actually a cheap one. You can tell it's a cheap one, but nevertheless, a home, blue Tom Brady number 12 jersey. And they've got a cheetah mask over their head. They've got just a flat, not deflated, 11 PSI or whatever football, a clearly flat, like a, maybe a 2 PSI football in one hand, and in the other hand a cracked screen cell phone. And I think you can see where this whole meme is going.
To me, those balls are perfect.
But yeah, again, say what you want about the Patriots and Tom Brady, but this year, of course, under the new regulations or whatever, football, with footballs and whatnot, Patriots are 7-0. Tom Brady, 20 touchdowns and 1 interception. I don't know. Just point that out. Now here's one, and I kind of agree with this. It's got a picture of, let's see, it's got Richard Sherman, top left, looking upset. It's got a Michigan football fan with his hands over his head, disappointed, oh man, it's somebody from the Broncos, not sure who it is, but somebody from the Broncos crying. And it's got a fourth picture of Terrell Owens crying.
It's really unfair.
Yeah. And the meme reads that the moment you realize the NFL season's already halfway over. And yeah, kind of, it's hard to believe. We're already heading into week 9. About halfway there. Oh, and I guess last week, it was Halloween weekend. As, again, the season's now halfway over. Of course, we just got done Halloween weekend. And we just turned the clocks back. And, here in Pennsylvania today, it was weird. It was like 5 o'clock and it was already pretty dark. Or at least, really getting pretty dark, and the sun was pretty much setting already, and was set. And I guess there was somebody posted a meme to remind people to set your clocks back. On Saturday night it was. Even though these days they kind of just automatically do them, at least on phones and whatnot. But other than that, there's maybe other clocks, like a stove clock or whatever, that you have to set back. Manually, of course. And so somebody decided to make a meme where they would post that reminder and a picture of now former Houston Texans quarterback Ryan Mallett to remind people to turn their clocks back on Saturday night. Of course, after missing the plane for their game last week, and heading into this week, it's pretty pretty clever idea there. Now here's one. Here's one with a kid. This is like a school setting. The kid is like apparently hung sort of on a locker at like high school or junior high school. I guess he looks like what you would call a nerdy kid. Looks like he's got glasses and he's kind of dressed in slacks and I guess like a kind of a nice polo shirt tucked in. And the meme reads, "Meanwhile at the AFC East school, the Patriots are roaming the halls again." And again, that just goes to show you the, I guess the dominance that the New England Patriots, the handle they have over this division right now.
I've handled dozens of balls over the past week.
With, of course, Bill Belichick and Tom Brady putting together quite a campaign so far this season. Let's see here. Should probably get into the close to the end of the line here of this week. All right. Now here's another one. A picture of Greg Hardy on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, it's William Gay from the Pittsburgh Steelers, dressed in his, I guess his, what some people call the Bumblebee Pittsburgh Steeler throwback jersey, if that's what you want to call them. Now, it has a description for each guy, and for Greg Hardy, it is a convicted domestic abuser, fights with coaches and teammates on the sidelines, and is called a leader. And then William Gay's side here, mothers killed in domestic violence act, wears purple cleats to raise awareness, and William Gay gets fined $5,787. To an NFL player, that's pocket shit, but still, you get the point here. Maybe a more, not a comedic meme here, but more like one that Mike Golick once spoke out about when it came to Greg Hardy, and
Do we maybe want to look at the reason we're here in the friggin' first place?
And had one of his most classic rants probably in Mike and Mike history when it came to Greg Hardy. So yeah. But that's the Roger Goodell, I guess, regime for you here right now in the NFL as a commissioner. But yeah, I mean, Greg Hardy, I mean, it looked like the only thing going for the Cowboys this past week against the Seattle Seahawks, when Greg Hardy made that play to that interception tip, whatever it was, and gave the Cowboys great field position, and all the Cowboys only came away with a field goal with it and whatnot. But anyhow, it's kind of just rambling on here about Greg Hardy. I mean, I could see why maybe why people would call him a defensive, like he's a hype guy, kind of like Des Bryant trying to get guys hyped from the sideline. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as say he's a leader, like as a man, I guess. But it is what it is, and that is essentially the end of this week's edition of This Week in NFL Memes, Week 8 edition. We're heading to, I guess what you call it, mid-season. We're at Week 9, pretty much dead center of the regular season in the NFL. And, of course, we got a huge game with the Philadelphia Eagles this week, taking on the Dallas Cowboys. And we'll break that down in the next video here as we start to look forward through the rest of the season, perhaps where this Eagles team will fit. Will they come out on top in the NFC East division this year, like they should be expected to this year? Obviously the whole pipe dream with 12-4, 11-5 finishes. Obviously, we're kind of gone a while ago, but still, it's still an important game for the Eagles to win this week to get back, I guess, kind of the top, the NFC East, as the Eagles certainly have some winnable games on the horizon after that. So hopefully the Eagles come out and we'll look forward to that in the next video of the Tyler Werner Show, right here on the YouTube channel and Facebook page, as always.
It sounds great.
Thanks for tuning in. Check out facebook.com/Tyler Werner Show. And post your thoughts, comments on the videos or whatever floats your boat. So that mind, thanks for tuning in as always. And that'll wrap up around the NFL Week 8 video here on the Tyler Werner Show.
It's no big news flash that many people, you included, eat as a way to medicate themselves. You can choose to worry about it or not. You can choose to panic about your situation or not. It's clear what you must do in order to make important changes.
5 letters here. RELAX. Relax. We're going to be okay.
In order for you ever to effectively figure out and map how to get to where you want to go, you have to first know exactly where you are starting.
RELAX. Relax.
You have to be willing to change what you're doing. You can change your behavior.
Okay, Rocco, pretend I'm the girl that you want to ask out on a date.
How about maybe you and I, maybe we go out together, get something to eat, I don't know, maybe laugh a little bit, who knows, I don't know, would you like to maybe, you want me to go out together? What do you think? Would you like to?
You need to make more eye contact and you sound way too nervous.
You want to hear me say it? You want to break me down? All right, I'm afraid. For the first time in my life, I'm afraid.
Having a tough time asking out ladies? You need to see Clubber Lang for a lesson.
Hey, woman. I bet you stay up late every night dreaming you had a real man, don't you? I'll tell you what. Bring your pretty little self over to my apartment tonight, and I'll show you a real man.
Build confidence with the ladies like never before with Clubber Lang's dating services. The most highly recommended in all of the Delaware Valley.
I am ranked number 1. That means I'm the best.
Hi there, I'm Hank Hill. Well, I'd like to tell you what Strickland can do to meet your energy needs. You see, at Strickland, the customer comes first. It's kind of interesting. The word customer begins with CU. Well, we don't see you as just another sale, but as a member of our team. I thought you might enjoy 7.5 gallons of pure premium propane. Strickland Propane, the customer comes first.